I am talking to you.
What's your name?
My name is Baylor, and I am from New Orleans, Louisiana.
What level of gamer would you describe?
Level. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm a 9.5 because nobody's perfect, but I am a huge gamer, and gaming revolves around my life one way or another with almost everything I do.
Tell me a little bit about your introduction to
My introduction to gaming was basically one day I came home from school. I was just sort of hanging out, and I didn't do a whole lot. So my mom was also sort of busy a lot of the time. So one day she bought me a Game Boy, and first video game I ever had on there was Super Mario Brothers. And I sort of like learned about all the other staples of kids games like Pokemon and Kirby and a bunch of other stuff, and then I started getting more into RPGs and whatnot, and that's really became my introduction to gaming is through the Game Boy, and then board games was always a thing for me, but like I got more serious into board gaming when I got older as well.
try to pick your arms up on the table so that my communication.
Okay.
So what sensation would you say you see the game?
What sensation? What's the question?
What sensation would you say you see?
What sensation? Oh, what feelings do I get from gaming? The feelings I get from gaming are usually excitement and pure enjoyment because there's a lot of people that are very competitive about gaming and stuff like that. I just really have a lot of fun with it, so when I know I'm gaming, I know I can definitely have a lot of fun, so usually I'm very happy all the time with gaming. Unless it's a very scary game, and then I'm not happy, I'm terrified.
So you say you fall into the game, it brings you to another universe, another perspective.
Absolutely, yeah. It is. It sort of zones me out from everything, but in a good way.
Put it out once again, I'm going to hear that again.
Okay.
So remember to repeat the question.
Yeah.
So you say you fall into the game,
Yeah.
it brings you to another perspective. Very nice.
Video gaming definitely. Gaming and video gaming definitely puts me in a different world and zones me out, but in a good way.
So in this digital age, how do you feel there's so many gamers that still appreciate board games?
I think the reason why is sometimes video games do tend to get stale, but however with board games and stuff like that, there's a human interaction to it that's person to person, and that's always enjoyable once in a while. And with board gaming and stuff like that, usually a lot of times there's a lot of different outcomes with a scenario, whereas a video game, there's a story, there's a plot, which is usually more than not a very great story, but sometimes can get a little stale for the idea of it.
So with the board game, and remember to repeat the question.
Sure.
With the board game, you're able to have unlimited amounts of storytelling inside of the world of the day.
Well, with unlimited board gaming, it's not mainly about storytelling that makes it enjoyable from video games, staying away from video games once in a while. It's just the idea of like, it's a very unpredictable outcome. With board gaming, you really don't know what's going to happen because there's so many different scenarios with board gaming, but you can sometimes predict in a video game what's about to happen. You may have played it before, but if you play something like, let's say a simple tabletop game that everybody enjoys, which is Cards Against Humanity, you have no idea what's going to happen. It's a really fun game, and it's not as much as like the in-depth storytelling of the board game or whatever. It's more not just like the enjoyment of like unexpectedness and sharing that moment with people right next to you in real life instead of online. But some people do that online as well, and that's good as too.
So can you, from your perspective, explain a little bit about the board game industry, like your exposure to your friends, and maybe its lasting development
board game industry, a lot of board games get rebooted, but usually a lot of the kicks from what I've seen from popular tabletop and board games for adults nowadays is sort of in the sense of like the old day Mad Libs, where you would put insert blanks here and there. Usually with a lot of the stuff that you're doing, you're playing either some kind of game that sort of tells a story with a bunch of stuff, and you have to create stuff, and it really exercises your brain more, and I think that's really awesome. So when you have that moment of being able to be sort of more in control than usually a video game, I think that's what really drives a lot of adults to once in a while put down the controller and open up a box to a board game or tabletop game. Okay.
So why do you think that franchises such as D&D and digital video game franchises like Final Fantasy, why do you think that they have continual fan base and continual growing power?
Because they make the world so big, and I think big RPGs like D&D or video game series like Final Fantasy, I think the reason why they have such a humongous continuum fan base is because of the ginormous world that they create and are able to easily expand. It makes it enough for fandoms and to create the idea of characters and create your own lore to them and create like sort of like the ideas for scenarios like a multiverse in a sense. So, you know, allowing the fans to sort of influence and sort of let them influence themselves, I think that's why there's such a continuing fan base for it, because of just how big the world and how much possibilities the world provides for them.
So why do these gaming franchises, why do some of them carry timeless experience while others have a short lifespan, don't have such a passionate following?
Some of the games that their series lasts for a long time usually keep with a steady formula that there is easy to build off of, and then there's some that aren't. A great example of two Nintendo games would be Mario, which is a continuous series. However, the fandom itself sort of dies down and grows sometimes, depending, because it has a very steady beat with the type of gaming it has. There's not much to build off of it, and it's very hard to expand from it. But we enjoy it because it brings us memories of playing with our friends. However, Pokemon we can enjoy our own. Pokemon has been the same, yes, but however, because restating a previous question of why those have a continuing fan base, it's because it's so easy to build off that world. If you notice, recently in X and Y, that was groundbreaking, and things have improved and grew over there. And now with Pokemon Sun and Moon coming out in this time frame of when this was made, is that it has provided such a bigger world and expansion and different possibilities and techniques and stuff that make it more interesting and more exciting for us to create ideas and theories of the world, and let us explore more of what we really love already and build off more of that. And that really just makes it more personal, and that makes it easier for us to have continuing love and for it to be able to have that continuing support to keep going.
So for those who aren't familiar with what is X and Y, and let's just get you the answer.
Okay, Pokemon X and Y is the most, technically the most recent edition of Pokemon, which is a popular game that came out in 1998 in our country. Pokemon X and Y is the first time where on our little handheld we have 3D models of the Pokemon that we've seen all this time in sort of like a physical form. That's really exciting, and it makes sort of sheds a happy tear to our eyes to see these creatures come more to life. And X and Y has been really exciting, adding so many new factors to the game, and the world's gotten so much bigger, and the scales are, they are jaw-dropping. Even if they're just on the small little handheld, you feel like it's a massive world. And You get to explore, you get to be yourself, and there's more personal customization to it, so that makes it even more exciting to make it feel like it's your character that's going out there, not just some pre-made character.
So in a city like this, like New Orleans, where there's so much other stuff going on, so much other things to be about, be part of, obviously people like all about coming down to the party, having a good time, drinking. I know I was one of them as well.
Yeah.
But you know what? A lot of people don't know that there are cultures, subcultures like this. Why do you think that this is such a subculture? And is it better than left as a subculture?
I think it could go either way. I think, there's so many cultures that I'm sorry. The gaming community in New Orleans as a subculture can work also as a mainstream culture as well. The thing is that we have found it and then expanded upon so many different cultures. It's ridiculous. We found a jazz culture. We're like one of the biggest cooking cultures in the world. We have so many of those different artistic cultures. And with this kind of like gaming and all this kind of this nerdy culture we have is basically it's a different art form in itself, and that's sort of hard to it's hard to move